This man is a former Notre Dame tight end, former NFL tight end. He is a national champion winner, a former first-round draft pick. It is our honor to bring on Derek Brown. Derek, welcome to the show. How are you doing today, sir?
Oh, thank you very much. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
We're doing great. We're very happy to have you here. We're doing a big thing here with Katie's Way. We're talking to a bunch of former Notre Dame players. Great to have you join the team. First question we have for you, that I have for you, is actually going back. You were a member of the very infamous 1988 Notre Dame National Championship team. Wins the national championship, has a lot of big press, a team that is the measuring stick now for Notre Dame football. When you look back, what does that team mean to you?
Wow, that team, what does it mean? The absolute best. No disrespect to other teams that have played since then, but during my era there, I find it very hard pressed to find a better 4 years there anywhere. When you look at even the tight end position, which is not back then especially not a glorified position, my backup was Irv Smith. His backup was Oscar McBride. His backup was I forget the kid's name. Oh my gosh, on the tip of my tongue. But he even played pro ball too. So we were honestly probably 2 and sometimes 3 deep at every position.
Down the line here with Derek Brown. Derek, it's kind of an interesting story. If you look back, you are a parade football player of the year from your high school days. It's my understanding, is it true you were very close to going to the University of Miami?
Came real close to going to Miami, yeah.
And,
that was it. Basically, it came down between Miami and Notre Dame, yep.
And what really made it the decision factor? I mean, was it a back-and-forth situation, or was Notre Dame just kind of everything just seemed right there?
Yeah, you know what? It really wasn't. Actually, going back even a little bit further, my junior year of high school, I was going to be a Gator. And there was nobody, you couldn't tell me any different. I was going to be a Florida Gator. And what happened was I kind of got tired of people telling me where I was going to go to school, that come up to me and say, hey, where are you going to go to school, Derek? I was like, I don't know. Oh, you can be a Gator. You're going to be a Gator. And I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I won't be a Gator. And then I took my first official visit was to Notre Dame. Granted, my first time playing organized football was 9th grade, so I didn't really have allegiance to anybody. I kind of played whatever sport was in season, and if anything, I'd say probably I was a Terry Bradshaw fan, but I never really had a favorite team or anything like that. And then I took a trip to obviously I went to Miami. I lived probably 2.5 about 3 hours away from Miami, so took a bunch of trips down there as well. And it really came down between Notre Dame and Miami by the time my senior year rolled around. And the one deciding factor, well, it was a gut feeling. It was a day I came home from school, and it was dusk, and nobody was home. So I popped in the VHS, Wake Up the Echoes, and I got these goosebumps. And basically the calling said, go, you got to go. And that's when I made my mind up. I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to go. I'm going to go. Now, mind you, in the late 80s, you did not leave the state of Florida to go play football, or if you were one of the top recruits. And that was one of the toughest things I had to do was tell Jimmy Johnson no, to on separate occasions in my living room. And but you know what? Everything ended up being okay. Out of the 3 years we played him, we beat him twice. So I'm quite happy with my decision.
Yeah, so you got the better end of that stick there. And then,
absolutely.
That kind of, that leads me into my next question. Going back and forth between Notre Dame and Miami, that infamous game, the 31-30 game, the perfect rivalry. How did you feel in that game? How much excitement did you have for that game? Like you said, people don't leave Florida to go play college football elsewhere. It's either you're in your area, you're a Seminole, you're a Gator, or you're a Hurricane. So you had to play against people.
Believe it or not, in my era, Seminoles weren't even really, they weren't anything. It's basically it came down between Florida and Miami. Those were like the two teams then, really, at least for me, in my upbringing. But for me, that game was definitely special. But also too, I think, it was special because it was a big game, but at the same time, it wasn't a big game in a sense. And the reason why I say that is, I was a freshman, and I had just started. I played in every game, but I started, I think, the week before against Pittsburgh. And I remember that week, it was funny, that week preparing for Miami, getting phone calls, we're going to kick your, what, at night and stuff like that in my dorm room. And I kind of figured out who it was. I think I knew who it was a couple times, but kind of funny. And really, almost like my whole freshman year, I definitely took spots where you take it all in, like, wow, I'm on this big stage right now, and this is really, really great. But then reality set in where it was like, all right, you got a job to do. You better not screw up type of thing. So it was happening so fast for me and for us that, you get caught up in the moment a little bit, but it's more or less because I was a freshman that I was just concerned about, all right, making sure that I did my job. So, that kind of took away from the largeness of it, or the scale. But, and also, too, I wasn't necessarily around. I wasn't a big Notre Dame fan or Miami fan. A little bit of a Miami fan. But I didn't care about the whooping that Miami had put on us a couple of years before. I was at the game when they beat us 24-0. But, again, I didn't think anything of it. This funny thing is, my 4 years, I probably only remember 2 or 3 football scores. I remember both Miami games, actually all 3, 31-30, 29-20, and then actually, you know what? I don't even remember the score that they beat us, and I think I remember like 1 or 2 other scores. So I literally took one game at a time. Was that kind of focus. So that was what was weird. But then after that game, remember. It was the loudest I'd ever seen that stadium. My ears rung after that game for, a couple of hours probably. It was amazing.
Down the line here with former Notre Dame tight end Derek Brown. Derek, let's kind of move a little forward here, go to your NFL days. Obviously, you were a first-round draft pick. You played for the New York Giants for a little bit. But the draft I actually want to ask you about is you were actually a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars expansion draft. If you can kind of go into detail, can you tell us the difference between the expansion draft and actually being drafted to the NFL? Is it a similar process, or how much different is it?
No, it's actually pretty similar. Basically, though, obviously NFL draft, everybody knows how that works. But with the expansion draft, each team at that time was allowed to protect. I forget what the number of players was, and they could only protect X amount of players, and so that left a pool of other players that Jacksonville and Carolina were able to pick from. And it was just like anything else. I mean, literally, like, sitting there watching a draft, just like it was draft day. And, you knew the only thing is you knew that you were going to it, you were either going to go to a team or stay at the team you were already on. So at least you had comfort in that.
And my last question, Derek, before I pass you on to my co-host Jason, I actually want to ask, before that expansion draft, I believe that was the season before was when you had the rough hit you took from Tim Hawk, right?
Yeah. No. Tim Hawk, it was actually in 95, the first year in Jacksonville.
Okay. What I was going to ask is, it was a big hit. I remember you're training about it pretty fully. What was the rehab like? What was getting back together to get to play the next season? What was that process like?
Oh, that absolutely sucked. And the funny thing, not the funny thing, but I have it on tape, and I've watched it. It's probably a year or so ago, 2 years ago. It wasn't a big hit at all, but it was just a freak accident where I broke a rib, I collapsed a lung, I bruised my kidney, I cracked my spleen, and then for a time there, I had air bubbles around my heart, and thankfully, I had a really, really good doctor who knew what to do. Because they were constantly they brought specialists in like every hour on the hour. They were just trying to figure out, okay, what we need to do. They were about to crack my chest open to relieve some of the pressure, and that would have been it for as far as football or anything else was concerned. But really, ended up being I was in intensive care for 4 days, and then the regular hospital for another 6. And in that 10 days, I went from 262 pounds down to 247 in those 10 days. And basically, that rehab, what really stunk about that was I couldn't do anything. It was just rest. And anytime for like 6 weeks after, anytime I was out in public or whatnot, they wanted me in a wheelchair because they didn't want me bumping into anybody because I was still bleeding internally. And so that kind of stunk. And then literally probably, I was scheduled to try to come back for week 10, I think it was, or something like that. And I had started coming in and getting on a bike and trying to work out a little bit, but every week I was taking a CT scan, and but they found that there was something still like, I had what did I have? A cyst around my pancreas, and so they had to stick a catheter. So we scrubbed the season, come week 10 of the season. So I went on IR. They put a catheter in between my ribs into my pancreas to relieve the bleeding. Had a bag strapped to my leg that I had to empty every couple of hours. And so I had that for another 2 weeks, and then it was basically just I started on a stationary bike, and then went to outside and kind of like worked one-on-one with the strength coaches. And I feel horrible that I totally forget the one strength coach's name who I spent most of my time with, but him and the head trainer Mike Ryan, who actually I was with the Giants for 3 years or 2 years, who ended up going to Jacksonville, and a lot of one-on-one stuff, and really just lifting and running and lifting and running, and I got to where the biggest I'd ever been. I was 286 pounds and benching over 405. So then I ended up playing another 5 years.
Well, Derek, I could talk to you forever. I feel like I'm hogging you. I do appreciate you answering my questions. You're a great interview. I know my co-host Jason had a few for you, but thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Derek, all of us on the show, we could talk about Notre Dame all day, every day, and never stop. But, one of the things we also like to talk about is how you and so many others in the Notre Dame family give back after they're done at Notre Dame. Now, can you tell us about the Serious Fund effort you're involved with?
Yeah, I'm actually on the board, a couple of boards here in the capital region of Albany, and one of them is Double H Ranch. It's a camp basically for terminally ill kids, and it's free of charge. And a lot of times, this is the first time that these kids with like sickle cell anemia, all different types of cancer, that this is the first time that they will be able to be away for a full week, 6 days, without their parents. It started back in '93 with Paul Newman, the actor Paul Newman, and one of the local prominent businessmen, Charlie Wood, up at Lake Luzerne, just north of Albany here. And it is a tremendous camp. I mean, the thing it's all free, and there's 6 sessions that they have throughout this, or 8 sessions throughout the summer that they have. And probably about 126 kids at each session during the summer, and again, free of charge, where they had the ratio of medical staff or campers or staff to camper is 2 to 1. So there's two campers to one person that's staff. They have all kinds of medical attention. We even have a winter program where this past, I think it was started 2 years ago, where kids on respirators can go down a ski slope. We have it set up where they have a moving sidewalk that goes up a little bit of a mountain, and we have all the doctors and everybody have their respirators, machines, in place and everything. And these kids get a chance to go down and feel the wind brush against their face that they've never been able to do. Even on the campus is awesome. For one thing, they have probably one of the last remaining telephone booths that is ever around, because telephone booths are just non-existent. Kids today have no idea what a telephone booth is, but there is one on Double H's campus, and there's a 40-foot zip line that every camper has to do before they leave there, and it's just amazing to see the kids go up on that and do it.
Yeah, it really is. I was reading about that today, and I think that's an awesome cause. Again, some of the pictures I saw and the looks on those kids' faces is priceless. It's a help and effort, and big hats off to you for helping in that. Now, there's also another thing that our listeners are going to want to be in the loop about. Anybody who's been on the fence about maybe going to Dublin for the Navy game this year, tell them about how they can actually help Katie's Way, and they can join yourself and other Irish legends in Dublin this fall.
Well, again, just like Mark said, being an ambassador for Notre Dame, and what it is, we're gonna go over there, and you know what, we're just gonna live life and enjoy life, and just play some golf and hang out and just be accessible to Notre Dame Nation. I actually just joined the group, so I still got to get well versed in exactly what it is and whatnot. But I do know that it should be a good time getting some of these Notre Dame family members back together that hadn't been around for a while. Irv Smith and Michael Stonebreaker, Mark Edwards, and the likes.
Absolutely. Well, that's really all I had for you, just to get a chance to hear what you had to say on these great causes. And we always appreciate you guys coming on the show and talking to the Notre Dame fans and us personally. It's a great treat. So again, thank you much for your time, and we appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Take it easy.
Thank you so much, Derek. That was great.
What's that? Oh.
So that was great, man.
Cool.
You were awesome. You know what? If you got another minute, we should get one more question in there. We kind of tiptoed around it. You were a part of this amazing lineage of tight ends, and I just want to get your thoughts. Tyler Eifert, first team All-American tight end since you back in 1991. And what do you think about that, the way it's kind of grown since you left?
Oh, man, I tell you what, I wish I was a tight end now. Like, before, I used to say, I should have been a defensive end. But now, but actually I probably would have been a defensive end, because now, I played at and professionally I was 270. So, I was a big defensive end. Nowadays, tight ends now I consider them small at 250, 240. But they can run, whatnot. You have a few big guys, but I was there of the every down tight end, big guys that could run. I mean, I was 270, but still ran a 4.6. So, still can get it done.
That is just absurd. I actually saw that on your recruiting thing. It listed you at 6'7" and you ran a 4.6, and I was thinking, that's in the 80s. We're thinking that's crazy nowadays. So, Derek, and you were very smooth on the air. I'm not going to lie about it. We were just talking on the side of, this is nice. So, thank you so much for coming on. We love to have you back again.
Oh, no, absolutely. You have my number, and I'll be more than happy to.
Well, much appreciated. So I'll go ahead and talk to everyone. This is Derek Brown, 1980 national champion, first team All-American in 91, first-round draft pick. Thank you so much. Check out Katie's Way if you want to hang out with him in Ireland. And Derek, once again, have a great day. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.